We're doing Slipknot. I hope they're cold up here. Yeah, this one is cold over
You think it's cold up here, you don't want to go back in those dressing rooms.
Looks that way we got some good old boys in the pit in front.
Yeah. It's weird when all those cameras look like guns. Stop it, Nick. Enough gallows humor.
Yeah, shit, McNally's up front. Now I know we're okay.
Come. They're selling postcards of a hat. They're painting the passports brown. Beauty parlors filled with sailors. Circuses. And it wants the line, Commissioner. They've got him in a trance. One hand is tied to the tiger's water. The other is his hands. And the right spot, they're restless. They need somewhere to go. Cause Lady and I look out tonight on Desolation Road. Ah, Cinderella,
back to that wall.
Better days. Then in walks Romeo. You belong to me. The only sound that you hear after the ambulance is low. Cinderella singing Desolation Road. All the feelings she's been for her I feel so free. On the 22nd birthday, she already is. For her death, quite romantic. She wears an iron vest. Her fashion's her sins her life. Though her gait makes her cool, goes the road pretty far. Spends her time picking up Desolation Road. Now the moon is almost hidden. The stars are beginning to hide. Fortune-telling lady has already taken all of her things. All except Cain and Abel and the hunchback of Notre Dame. Everybody's into making love, or else it's back. And the good Samaritan, when he says he's getting ready for the show, he's going down to the carnival tonight. Desolation Road. Now Einstein disguises Robin Hood with his memories in a trunk. Passed this way an hour ago with his friend Joe Strunk. Oh, he looks so immaculately thankful as he pops a cigarette. Anyway, and also the green pipe. We decided to hang out. Or you wouldn't think, look at him, but he was famous long ago. Playing electric violin, Desolation Road. it right.
Thank you. Jerry and the boys pack up their axes and leave many of their fans fuming. The fallout from this rock and roll revolt is next on Nightcast.
You're watching WXIN, Indianapolis. This is Fox 59 Nightcast.
The Dead will probably never be back here again.
A canceled concert, a concerned fan. Will the Grateful Dead be able to resurrect their Deer Creek denizens? Good evening, I'm Cheryl Adams, in for Caroline Thaw.
And I'm Bob Donaldson. Police call it a riot, the band calls it a disturbance, the fans call it a shame. Deer Creek canceled the Grateful Dead's concert tonight following last night's clash with hundreds of police officers. In tonight's top story, Nightcast, Adam Shapiro reports nobody is taking any chances.
It's been canceled today.
Say goodbye, sleeping bags, to Grateful Dead.
Or in other words, the party is over for the 50,000 Deadheads who plan to party at Deer Creek Music Center.
We do not consider what happened last night to be a riot.
Heads up! Out of the way! Get out of the way!
From what I've gathered, it wasn't a significant number of people.
Man, I thought they were going to take the whole fence down. People just storming the hill.
3,000 of them, according to sheriff's deputies. A scene so chaotic that Indiana State Police riot squads were called in to restore order. It took more than 200 officers. Yet on the other side of that fence, Deadheads rocked to a different beat.
Worst cold feeling I'm most ever had.
There were just way too many people. We saw no reason that would change today, and that's why tonight's show's canceled.
4 police officers injured, 15 police cars damaged, and 17 arrests. Nobody wants a repeat performance.
Rock and roll!
With Deer Creek in their rearview mirror, these Deadheads are off across the river, the mighty Mississippi, and on to St. Louis and the next Grateful Dead concert. After all, the show must go on.
I think people should be ashamed of themselves for rushing the fence like that. They ruined it for everyone.
And left a lot of Deadheads with tickets to nowhere. Adam Shapiro, Fox 59 Nightcast.
The Grateful Dead have played Deer Creek for the last 5 years, but there's no deal for next year, and the band says it's too soon to determine if they'll return.
Well, thousands of Deadheads traveled cross-country to see the show tonight, and they're not leaving just yet. Some say all they ever wanted was a peaceful, good time.
I'm not mad at Jerry, I'm mad at the scene. People should, behave themselves right on.
Deadheads are crying the blues when they should be going to another concert.
I may look like a freak and stuff, but I don't, I go there and I dance the whole time and I have a good time, and I'm really tired of people ruining it for me.
I work hard to pay for my tickets, and then there's all these people that come and crash the gate down and ruin a beautiful venue.
Loyal Dead fans blame Deadhead wannabes for the chaos at last night's show, although some fans don't blame them at all.
We're probably one of the first 15 I would have been in.
I would have been running. I was taking my sandals off trying to run.
One started and the rest followed.
Did you follow?
Nah, it's not my thing.
Hanging loose, sister.
The concert may be canceled, but many of the Dead fans are sticking around the campgrounds, and so are the cops.
Okay. That'd be fine.
Most say the relationship between the police and the fans has always been a good one.
We usually get along pretty well. I don't know what happened down there, if they're the old-time fans or if they're just the ones that decided to start following, maybe, that had the problems.
There's a new, younger kind of people hanging out in the scene, and they just think that they deserve something, and you don't. If you didn't score a ticket or you didn't pay for a ticket, you don't deserve to go in. Nine fit fresh veggie burritos with homemade salsa.
Vogel planned to sell her veggie burritos at the concert tonight, but these deadheads just have an appetite for music.
It really is a shame, you know, because, I mean, Deer Creek was a hot ticket. You know, everyone liked coming here.
The Dead Tour now continues on to St. Louis. Ticket holders for tonight's show can get refunds after July 10th at the place of purchase.
Well, some Dead fans weren't moving much today for other reasons. They lost their wheels. Police and tow truck drivers were out in force last night. At least 150 vehicles were towed for illegally parking along the road. But many Deer Creek fans complained that thousands of fans without tickets were allowed to park inside, leaving no room for fans with tickets.
We were stuck in traffic waiting to get in for probably 4 hours. And then they told us we could get in with tickets, and then when we came to the parking lot, they turned us around. So when we ended up coming back out here, our car is now towed. So now we have no vehicle.
An estimated 10 to 20,000 people paid to get inside Deer Creek parking lots, but they didn't have tickets to the actual concert.
Grateful Dead has canceled its concert outside Indianapolis tonight because of a riot last night. Thousands of fans without tickets tore down gates at the arena in Noblesville and threw rocks and bottles at police. Officers used tear gas to break up the crowd. 17 people were arrested, but there were no serious injuries.
I saw everybody all at once just run up and start jumping over the fence, and they were all getting over the fence, and then people started tearing it down, and then the cops put on tear gas and everybody ran down the hill.
There's a big explosion right up by the front of the line. Something went off, something exploded up there, people started running. So I don't know, people were throwing rocks at police and stuff and everything else. So
get pretty ugly?
Yeah, it did, honestly. It was kind of scary. It's pretty scary, that's why we're leaving.
A Grateful Dead spokesman says the band is frustrated to have the concert canceled, but he says there are no plans to reschedule. British paratrooper Lee Clegg.
Thousands of fans rushed the gates. Police in riot gear used tear gas to break up that crowd. 42 people were arrested. Deadheads say concert gate rushes are getting worse.
It's normally the local college kids that start it because they're the drunk ones. But a bunch of kids got together and decided they'd have an organized gate rush. They got 150 people together and jumped over the fence, and they got a couple hundred following them, and it just got out of hand.
The band itself is said to be frustrated to have the show canceled. There are no plans to reschedule the concert.
American astronaut Norm Taggart says the next time he spends...
Thousands of people without tickets tried to force their way into the arena outside Indianapolis. Some of the crowd threw bottles and rocks at police. Law officers responded with tear gas. 17 arrests were made. A total of 42 arrests for the day, all told. Actor Hugh Grant has reappeared in public for the first time in decades.
Fans of the Grateful Dead. There was a riot near Indianapolis. It brings back memories of a fatal concert scene here in Cincinnati. You remember that one? Cincinnati's 10 o'clock news is going to be right back.
Tearing it down, and then the cops put on tear gas and everybody ran down the hill.
And because of that riot, that's what it was. The Grateful Dead concert scheduled for tonight in Noblesville, Indiana, had to be canceled.
Now, the riot broke out after thousands of Dead fans found themselves without tickets for last night's show. And as you are about to see, the crowd was anything but grateful to be on the other side of the line.
Attending a Grateful Dead concert is a little like stepping back into the 60s, where Deadheads swim in a sea of tie-dye with an air of something illegal. But last night near Indianapolis, another remnant of days gone by reared its ugly head when a riot erupted in the parking lot outside of the Deer Creek Music Center. Several thousand ticketless fans rushed the gates behind the stage.
I thought they were going to take the whole fence down. People just storming the hill. Just trying to get in the shows, you know. There's not that many people that get in. Everyone that doesn't get in wants to get in, you know.
And those who couldn't show a ticket threw rocks and bottles instead. That's when police used tear gas and pepper spray.
There was like tear gas or something?
Yeah, they were letting tear gas off right where we were.
There was like this huge stampede of people too.
Did you see it?
Yeah, the stampede.
Yeah, well, they fired tear gas right into us.
In all, 220 officers in riot gear responded, arresting 42 people for trespassing, drug offenses, and disturbing the peace. Only minor injuries reported. But this incident reminds many tri-staters of the deadly Who concert some 15 years ago, when the same sort of surging crowd pushed its way into Riverfront Coliseum. That crowd killed 11 people and caused concert promoters across the country to reevaluate festival seating. And as last night's riot clearly shows, promoters can take precautions, but cannot always control a crowd excited to see a show.
Tonight's concert was canceled after a long meeting with police and a publicist for the Grateful Dead. That publicist says the band is frustrated to have the show canceled. There are no plans to reschedule.
Well, the Forest Fair fireworks were not canceled.
And a disaster roundup from the latest Grateful Dead tour. Director Spike Lee zooms in on the world of phone sex, and director Sam Bayer. On the road has not been a party for the Grateful Dead lately. Late Wednesday night, after the Dead had played St. Louis, the collapse of part of a campsite building seriously injured dozens of fans. Earlier in the day, police found the bodies of 2 deadheads at the campground, both dead of suspected drug overdoses. This was just the last bad day in a string of incidents that have plagued the Grateful Dead tour. What's going on with one of rock's happiest and most humane scenes? Let's take a look.
For 20-some years, the Grateful Dead had arguably the most peaceful musical following in rock. The Dead tour of 1989 darkened that perception when some not-so-peace-loving fans rioted at several Dead shows around the country.
About every 3 years, we get a new group of very young fans who need educating. It happened in the late 80s. After the Touch of Grey, you had an influx of people. And they were rowdy, and we had difficulties at shows. And, you know, everybody's saying, oh, God, kids these days.
These days seem to be here again. Near Stampede in Vermont on June 15th, 2 police officers assaulted in Albany, New York on June 21st, and rock-throwing gatecrashers driven back by tear gas and police dogs in Indiana on July 2nd. All of this mayhem has now led the Grateful Dead to give up playing unstructured outdoor areas.
We have to assume that it's a stadium or nothing, at least as far as a large outdoor thing.
Violence hasn't been the only problem. Outside a Washington, D.C. show, fans were hit by lightning. In Vermont, a fan died of cardiac arrest. And on Wednesday night, over 100 fans were injured, 13 seriously, after a second-story balcony collapsed at a campground near the Dead St. Louis show.
That's part of our collective family, and they got hurt, so people are worried and you know, saying prayers. And I think you can sort of feel, we don't talk about this kind of thing, but you can assume that tonight's show will be played, you know, as a sort of an act of healing, hopefully. Music isn't just entertainment.
While they can do little about accidents, the Dead feel most problems with fans will diminish.
This scene has existed 30 years out of older Deadheads teaching younger Deadheads. This has happened before. And it'll, you know, hopefully it won't happen again, but at any rate, I am confident in the ability of Deadheads to educate each other.
When we see something wrong, we got to tell them, you know, hey, don't do that, dude, you know, what's up?
I think that could be changed if people keep a positive attitude about it, because there are a lot of beautiful people here and, you know, that want to enjoy it and want to make it work.
The Grateful Dead are off to Europe next, no doubt hoping for less dismal vibes. Time for a quick commercial immersion right now, but we'll be back with, among other things, video director Sam Bayer, a man with definite opinions, all of them right.
I get a kick out of doing this, and there's a